Okay, being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Coos Bay City Council meeting to order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Carmen Matthews will not be attending this evening, and Troy Cribbins will be running a little late, so he'll be showing up here shortly, we hope. First item on the agenda is public comments, so this would be the time that you come forth and make a comment, preferably something that's not on the agenda. Yes, just come on up, give us your name and the city you reside in, please. And we have a timekeeper down there for 3 minutes, and so when you hear 1 minute, don't panic. You still got a little bit of time. You got 1 minute. Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and council, my name is Charlotte Kepke. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I think we can all agree that it is a wonderful law that allows the police to enter our homes without a warrant if there's a question that the resident may be ill, injured, dead, or in imminent danger, and take what action is necessary. I am here to share something else about the law. Did you know, 1, once the officers are in your home and find there is no evidence that you are ill, injured, dead, or in imminent danger, according to this letter that I received from your police chief, that it is within the law for officers to relay their findings to the caller, as it is typical in these types of calls. Please don't accuse me of cherry picking. I'd love to read the whole letter, but I only have 3 minutes. Now, mind you, I don't fault the officers for being scammed. We've all probably been scammed a time or two. But I do fault them for relaying their findings that they were able to gain access to my residence through a locked window over my sinks, and they found evidence of a Dear Grandma note that I was overseas. In my opinion, within the law, this is an open invitation to scammers to move right in and right in on you or steal whatever you want to steal, as there's easy entry through a locked window, and it appears she will be gone for a while. 2, and do you know, according to this letter, the law was followed, and it isn't necessary to provide any notice whatsoever to the resident of the intrusion or the sharing of any evidence. It took me 74 days, repeat, 74 days, and then only because I was like a dog with a bone to get more than a he said, she said phone offer to even find out the information from the police. I got lucky this time. I found out about this because the scammer in this instance was a nosy busybody who gleefully thought that she was clever to use deception to find out why I wasn't returning her calls, and relayed to me the locked window entry and the Dear Grandma note. And by the way, I would not know this busybody if I were to meet her on the street. How to break in and get information can be shared with anybody with a cell phone, access to the internet, misinformation about you, to concoct a story while casing the neighborhood. But you know, according to the law, anybody with a convincing story has a right to know. I am led to believe it is within the law for the police to tell the caller, "Thank you for your concern, but we find no evidence of illness, injury, death, or imminent danger." To ask the resident, if available, if it's okay to share information, or to leave the resident notice of the intrusion and leave the resident to deal with the caller. Period.
Time's up.
So, Chief, can you enlighten us a little bit more? No, I'll take care of the time for us. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. Yes.
Sure. This actually stems from a welfare check request that we received, where officers did respond out over a period of a couple days to check the welfare of our complainant here. And in the course of that, they were not able to locate her. There were some other checks that were checked prior to us entering in the house to do a welfare check. Our concern was that she had had a medical issue inside her residence, and that she was in need of care. Again, we go through multiple steps prior to actually entering into someone's house and checking on their welfare. And so I have also responded several different times, and in response to a voicemail and an email that I had received, or a letter I had received. So it wasn't a 74-day wait. Maybe my letter was the 74th day, but there was several attempts in the middle of that time to just kind of clarify some of her concerns and answer some of her questions. But the entire intent was to check on the welfare of her, and to make sure that she was not in need of assistance, and there was no forced entry, no damage done to the property. It was actually one of my captains that I had made sure that he was there as well. We took every possible step we could to protect her, and to make sure that she was not in need of medical assistance. And so I would be happy to provide any additional documentation or any additional explanation to anybody that would like to see that, but I feel that we were within our policy and we were within the law.
All right, thank you. Counsel, any other questions for the chief?
Chief, I'm just curious, so in that instance, not this instance, but in any instance, when you're doing a welfare check, do you, if you went in through a window, do you leave that window in the same, what am I trying to say, in the same form that it was? So you're not breaking windows and you're not breaking doors, and if you were to do those things to do a welfare check, obviously the police department is going to take care of that in a timely fashion.
Absolutely. I mean, we try our best to not cause any damage as we gain entry. We try to leave the house or the property in the same condition. If we determine that there is maybe an accidental door unlocked or a window left open, we try to secure, we try to make sure that the property owner is made aware of the situation as well. Oftentimes we will even call out the fire department to assist us in gaining entry, because they have other tools that we don't have. So we take every caution that we can before we enter into somebody's place. Yes.
Anyone else? All right. Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Consent calendar, council. How would you like to proceed?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as submitted. I just want to bring attention to one of the items. Acceptance of grants in Oregon Parks and Recreation Department is for $12,900, and it's going to be for the cemetery, and there are going to be 74 gravestones that this will help restore. So I think that's very nice that this was done, and I appreciate the people that volunteered to do this. So any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Consideration of library board appointments. We did some interviews earlier this evening. 4 had applied, but 3 had showed up for the interview. And so we have voted, and we'll pass these to Christine. And she will tally them. And I guess, Christine, why don't you just read, you want me to do it, or you want to?
I'd be happy to do
Okay.
whatever you'd like me to.
Sure.
Council has chosen to appoint Peggy Christensen and Jacob Niebergall.
Congratulations to both of you, and I want to thank Joanne also for applying, and so thank you so much. Look forward to some tough decisions that we have to make down the road, and Janice is also on the library board, so I'm sure that it'll work out well. We're looking for some advice and direction, so thanks. Next item on the agenda is public hearing to consider enactment of an ordinance regulating noise within the Coos Bay, within Coos Bay. So Nicole and Nate will address this before we open it up for the public hearing. We'll get some insight of where we're going.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have presented to you tonight an ordinance to amend the Coos Bay Municipal Code, specifically within the section that deals with noise. We had a recent incident that identified we should review that ordinance specific to how special events might be permitted, which currently could require them coming to council. And that causes a little bit of a challenge in timing, that we do ask a 30-day in advance permitting application. It could cause a challenge with timing. So what's before you is essentially the same language. What we've chosen to do is take that code section and repeal the whole code section and replace it in its entirety. What the change is, instead of permitting application requests to go to council, they'll now go to staff. We do some preliminary work with that anyways, so it's really in line with the work we're already doing. And then due to some events that we know are pending, we are asking that it be passed as an emergency ordinance so that those folks have the opportunity to move forward with those events. So I'm not sure if Nate or even Chief has participated in any of this, wants to weigh in?
No, I think you summarized it very nicely.
So there's no 1,000 square feet or 1,000 feet, no distance?
It's still 1,000 square feet. The primary change is simply to take it out of the hands of the council to make the decision and allow staff to make the decision in order to expedite things. If someone
Okay.
wants to make a permit, instead of having to wait, 1 or 2, 3 weeks for a council meeting, they can just go to staff, and staff will, in most cases, unless there's some compelling reason not to, grant the permit. But there's still some restrictions on what they can do. And when they get that permit, they'll be given the rules that apply. And I think that's the important thing, is that they'll have the rules that explain what you can do, what you can't do, the 1,000 feet requirement. And this is going to apply to anyone who's using any type of device, amplification of their voice, whether it's a bullhorn or speakers or whatever else. So it'll facilitate. Actually, it's good for the city because it expedites things from the city's point of view, and it expedites it for the permittee as well because it goes a lot quicker. So we'll see how it goes, and if we need to tweak it a little bit down the road, depending upon how things work out, we'll look at that.
So the main thing, was there any changes to the ordinance besides that the staff would make the decisions to the council?
That's it.
That's it.
At this point, that's it.
Okay.
And then I'd also add that there is a piece in there that someone could appeal a decision that staff made to the council.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. All right.
I have a couple questions, just about the ordinance in general. Is it illegal, so one of the things that bothers me is the really loud, when people exchange the muffler on their car and it becomes really loud, does that outlined here? Is that under F3, the use of any vehicle or engine either stationary or moving, so operated as to create any loud or unnecessary grating, grinding, rattling, or other noise?
I can answer that for you. So the ordinance would essentially protect against that as well, but there actually is a state statute that we would generally cite for unmuffled exhaust. And so you could look at it through a state statute and or a city ordinance, depending on.
So it's not legal?
It is
To
not
have
legal.
that.
Well, to not have it, it can't be, it has to be within a certain decibel.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in order for us to issue citation on that, we would have to be able to prove that it's outside of the reasonable decibel levels.
Got it. Thank you.
One other question about the lodging section. No person under 5, Part A, lodge in a car, outbuilding, or other place not intended for that purpose without permission of the owner or person entitled to its possession. I was just curious how that aligns with the new laws around sleeping in a car or homelessness, and if there's a nuance there.
I think it does fit with our camping ordinance. Our camping ordinance is very specific. Let's say someone's lodging in a vehicle in a driveway or a backyard. They have to have the permission of the property owner to be there. In public places, I don't believe it would be prohibited. In fact, it would be trumped by state law.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the council before we open this up to public comments? Okay, so at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing to consider enactment of an ordinance regulating noise within Coos Bay. I think that you've heard the information, but if you would like to give us a comment on this, this would be the time to do so. Anyone? All right, so I'll close the public hearing. And council, how would you like to proceed?
I move that we enact ordinance number, do we have a number that we need to reference?
The ordinance number, should it be enacted, will be 566.
5, 6.
I move that we enact ordinance 566, modifying regulations regarding noise within Coos Bay.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to enact ordinance number 566, which will enact ordinance regulating noise within Coos Bay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Christine, will you do the roll call, please?
An ordinance prescribing general offenses, providing a penalty, and repealing ordinance number 100 as amended. Counselor DeNovo? Aye. Counselor Farmer?
Aye.
Counselor Kilmer?
Aye.
Counselor Stevens?
Aye.
Mayor Benetti?
Aye.
And
Oh, you're good.
Counselor Stevens.
I said aye. Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing.
You missing anybody?
No.
Okay, got it all.
Ordinance 566 has been duly enacted.
Thank you. So consideration of appointments to various city and community advisory boards, commissions, and committees. Roger, since most of them are yours to be filled.
With the recent resignation of Council President Miles and my pending departure from the city, there are a number of vacancies on various committees. The city has both committees, boards, and commissions that are related to the city, as well as many of you participate or represent the city on various community boards, various intergovernmental boards, or various other governmental boards. There are a very large number of boards. With those recent changes, we have some openings, and those openings include the Library Board, the Library Facilities Steering Committee, the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, Community Coalition of Empire, the Coos Bay North Bend Visitor and Convention Bureau, the very prestigious Coos County Household Hazardous Waste Committee, along with the Solid Waste Committee, and the South Coast Development Council. You may wish to, since you have 2 council members not here, unless there's someone dying to be on a couple of those, you may wish to want to bring that back. But I believe some of the other committees could be filled tonight by either yourselves or your incoming city manager.
Which positions were the positions that you normally filled? Are those the community boards?
They were.
So the city boards and committees were filled by Rob Miles. So as Roger stated, unless there's somebody, if someone would like to volunteer to be on that, we can go ahead and do that now, or we can wait until Carmen and Troy are both here.
It seems appropriate that if Roger served on the community boards and committees, that we would have our incoming city manager serve in those roles. So really, we're having a conversation about the city boards and committees, correct? Just the library board?
Well-
I would add one, sorry. I think Councillor Miles also sat with the Community Coalition of Empire, which is down in the community boards. Doesn't mean that I couldn't also do that, but.
Is that something?
Weren't you on that, Sarah?
Yeah, that's not listed here, but I do serve on that coalition.
Okay, so first, do we want to, for the city boards and committees, which was filled by Rob Miles and the Empire Coalition, do we want to make a decision on that tonight, or do we want to wait till we have full council?
Roger, did you reach out to Councilor Cribbins to see if he might be interested in serving on the library board?
Unfortunately, I did not.
This seems like the perfect time to appoint him to that.
Troy's not here, so I think tradition dictates he gets all of it.
With due respect, I think we want to make sure that it's a willingness to do that. So unless you're opposed, I think that we should wait on the library board and the library facilities steering committee until we have full council. Sarah, Empire Coalition, you want to continue on with that? Or you want to?
Unless there is someone else that is vying for that, it's one of my favorite meetings of the month. So.
Okay. Then we appreciate you serving on that and your willingness to continue. So now the community boards and committees, again, as Lucinda referenced, this is something that Cole can fill in and serve, unless somebody on the council would prefer to serve on one of these, and then I think she'd be willing to fill in whatever is not taken.
I think it makes sense for her to take those positions.
Does everyone agree?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, do you need a vote or anything on this, or
Well, I have a
consensus?
question.
Yes,
On
of
the
course.
South Coast Development Council,
Mhm.
both Nicole and Roger participated. Is it okay for that to just be one person?
Roger might have some insight on this, but we just added a second participant at the city for the Urban Renewal Agency to participate. Given Roger's transition to his position, it may make good sense that he still is participating with his new position. We're both on the executive board, so I think something would have to happen in there anyway, so I think we're probably okay.
So
Yes.
who do you have, who's going to be the second person?
Well, why don't we let Roger?
We haven't historically had two people.
Oh,
We
I
did
see.
just recently
Okay, all
to offer me the opportunity to participate in the transition.
Got it,
So-
okay. Roger?
Correct. No, that's correct, and I'll still be on the executive board as well as the regular board because I am the past chair.
Okay,
Is the airport a paying member of SCDC?
yes.
Yes.
Great.
And I serve in that position, so that's up for Roger to make the decision.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's been fulfilled. Is there anything else on those committees at this time?
Correct. No,
Okay,
no vote is necessary.
all right.
Okay.
Next item is consideration for authorization of Mingus Pool Management Agreement. Jim, I believe you're going to handle this?
Yes, sir. The current 10-year pool management agreement between the city and the Mingus Park Pool Management, or MPPM, was executed back in 2013. A new agreement is provided for council's consideration. The agreement has an initial term of 2 years and may be extended year after year thereafter for a total of 10 more years, or 10 years total. The city owns the Mingus Pool Park, or the pool, and the associated bathhouse and equipment. The city does not have the resources for providing swimming-related activities or daily operations and maintenance of the pool. For over 25 years, the city has contracted with MPPM, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of swimming as a means of healthful recreation and enjoyment. MPPM has expertise in the operation, management, and maintenance of the swimming pool and other associated facilities. If not for this organization, it is likely that the city would not have a pool available for public use. The MPPM provides an open swimming, youth swimming opportunities, swim teams, swim lessons, and swimming competitions. The MPPM also may charge fees for public use of the pool facilities and per the agreement, they agree to operate, manage, and maintain the pool as a public outdoor recreation facility in a safe and efficient manner. The organization is also responsible for the payment of operating expenses and supplies. They are to operate the pool in compliance with applicable state and national health and safety regulations. The MPPM is required to always have available supervisory personnel and modern life-saving and rescue equipment. The organization shall also have a certified senior life-saving or water safety instructor on duty during all periods of public swimming. Per the agreement, the city agrees to pay the cost of all utilities for the operation of the pool. The city also provides ordinary and necessary maintenance and repair of the pool facilities. This fiscal year, the city has budgeted $80,000 for utilities, chemicals, and minor maintenance of the pool. And Kathy McNutt is with the Mingus Park Pool Management, and she's here in the audience if you have any questions for her.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Kathy and the management that handles this. Been doing it for years, and I don't, again, as it's stated here, without their participation, I don't think we'd have a pool. So for some little bit of clarification, this is pretty much standard of what we've had in the past?
It is. I think it's just been updated. I believe this was, the agreement that we're replacing was started in 2009. We put it together, got it agreed to in 2013. Over the course of time, I think we've taken on a little bit more on the utilities, and that's certainly seen a lot of work done to the pool. I think all of the equipment underneath the pool that does the filtration system, the heating system, that's all been replaced. The pool tank was recently resurfaced. But even with all that, there's just no way that, knowing our finances, that we would be able to operate that pool if it were not for the nonprofit. And to be honest with you, and I had the pleasure of serving on that board for a number of years. Currently, Captain Schaefer serves as the city's representative. He's not only a member of our management team, but he's an avid swimmer. But I really think the heart and soul is with the manager.
Okay.
The long-term manager that has run that pool so efficiently for the betterment of our community members.
Yeah, I see Kathy in the audience. So the other thing is that we, as you said, we own the pool and all the equipment, and we just replace a lot of it. So do we maintain that equipment, and also don't we regulate the chlorine and stuff also, or not?
We do, although that really should be and has been traditionally years ago, a responsibility of the Mingus Park Pool Management. But we're there to assist. And it's my understanding that Mingus Park Pool Management is getting their certifications in order to take care of that. But we serve as a backup.
Okay, but prior to this, then we've been maintaining it, so now it's switching?
Well, I believe that some of our staff assumed those duties over time, but it's switching. As you know, we have a limited park staff, and there are some things within the park that really needs their attention, and so we're just trying to divvy up the duties appropriately.
So on the flip side, I know that they're limited in what they have also, because it's nonprofit. So we have found a balance that works for everybody, I hope?
I believe this is a negotiated agreement.
We've discussed it with the board.
So you
Kathy and I.
Pardon?
Kathy and I have discussed this.
Okay, all right. So this, did you want to say something, Kathy? Here, absolutely. Come on up for. We'll give you more than 3 minutes. This is an agenda item that we're discussing, so it's a little bit different time frame. I guess if it gets too long, I'll have Nate cut you off.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to give a little background. Could I?
Yes.
Just because here's what I feel. I've grown up here, and I've really been blessed to run the pool, but we haven't been able to do it without the community's support, and it's been great support. I don't know how many of you know about when Vera Richter came down. She used to sit on the bench and watch me coach all the kids, and one day she called me back to the fence and said, Kathy, she said, don't you want to cover this pool? And I said, well, not really, but the pool was leaking really, really bad. So we had to add water. I said before we could ever cover it, that we needed a new tank, a new pool. And so she came back, a week later and sitting up there and, Kathy, come here. She says, here's the deal. She said, I want to give you $500,000. She said, I want you to get a committee. I want this man on the committee. And otherwise, she says, this money can't go to any wages. It can't go to the city. And you guys decide what you need and what you want to do. And so that was like a blessing. We got a great committee, and we really worked, oh gosh, it'd be great if it was a little bit bigger. We did this and that. But, this is a group that had taken over when we talked the city into, it was a couple of doctors in the area. The pool was only open in the summer. They wanted it year-round. And the city gave us their blessing, so couldn't get away with this now, but I covered it with a black tarp deal, got rocks out of the park. We had a parent running the boiler. We had our swim teams cleaning the locker rooms, and and that's how it started. And then and Vera saw this, then we were able to do the new pool. Money that we had left over, we were able to put the slides in and get equipment and stuff. And then we had some money left over, so my management board, we invest that. So each year, the money we get from that, then I replace or upgrade whatever we need to do. Like my slides are really rusty right now, and we got marked down on that from the health department when they were there. But I've got the monies to do that. We have to take the money's interest to buy the tarps. They're now $3,000 a piece. All of those types of things. But this group, I've got Doug Eberline on it. He's a safety inspector for SOS. He's about to retire. Bruce Day, Jamie Faraday, Dan Polk, Rebecca Peters. I've got this Joy Supas, an accountant. I've got once again, I'm blessed. Probably my big thing is tonight, when I met with Jim, and I know Jim, but usually we don't meet so much. I've had Roger on the board for a long time. I've had John Eck, and some that Randy Dixon left and stuff. So the way the management agreement was written, and I had Doug, my president, look at it too, I didn't understand, or nor did Doug, that they wanted us to come down and start doing more downstairs. Because you guys, I'm going to tell you, we can't afford to open the front door. We come in through the gate. And the health inspector through the county, he's always kind of rooting for us. It's great, Kathy, if we do this, we do that. And it's all worked. In fact, we were kind of set up for COVID, in my opinion. So, and stuff is, we are open 16 hours a day right now. We're just, it's great. Years ago, Donna Balsaman, one of the Blossom Gulch teachers, says, Kathy, she said, I'd like to walk my kindergarten class over. Do you think you could volunteer and give them lessons if I get a couple parents to help? Well, that started that. Then everybody wanted their child in Donna's class because they were swimming each year, right? So then that whole school jumped in. And we have Eastside. It's how the whole program started, with a heck of a lot of volunteers and getting all of that going. And now we run, lifeguarding classes, these lessons, advanced health. The last 2 summers has given us $40,000 to do some free swimming and everything. Here's the deal, and I am passionate and have made my job, but I've been there 48 years. I get $24,000 a year. My 2 people right under me, and combined, we have 100 years experience. They've been down there they've grown up with me, They just got raised to $16 an hour right now. So my worry is, when I found out we were going to do the other downstairs, is how exactly are we going to do it? And, well, let me tell you this, usually before COVID and stuff, usually our money's so tight that we would get behind a couple months in payments to Cardinal Services, who does our stuff. But those kids swam for me. So they all know, they were all part of the takeover. So it's all about the relationships, and they know that they're going to get their money, and it's worked, and I love it. And I think we've got, I think Dave, the new John Eck, could tell I was a little upset the other day on deck. I hadn't met him yet, but he kind of told me about some of this stuff downstairs. And before we got the new system that Randy Dixon helped get with a grant and stuff, which is beautiful, we really hardly have any trouble. You know, I was going down there at 10 o'clock at night if it would shut down, or midnight or whatever. And I was a little worried about what I was hearing downstairs from the workers. I don't want my employees down in the park alone at that time of night. I don't want to be down there either. That we got worked out when we met the other day, but I was kind of hearing different things, and I didn't think that the contract really kind of spelled out everything very good. We'll make it work, and I know how hard the city guys work down there. I'm down there all the time, I know, and I just feel like part of the park. I loan out tables and chairs to all these deals. I love it. And what we've decided to do, the certified pool operator, I had it once before, but then Randy Dixon said I didn't have to do it anymore. But anyway, I'm going to get mine back. I've already got one of my gals down there that just finished. My other gal's going to get it. So we're going above and beyond. And Doug Eberline, bless his heart, Kathy, I think I'll take that class, because he's worried about the whole safety deal. But that's how our people are. And Doug, in fact, a month ago, took our life-saving class. This is the kind of people that help everybody. I have a lot of older people that swim laps the morning and the evening, and they love it. I have a lot of donors. This is how we've survived. But I think the most important thing to me is, and Roger's been so great, and John Eck, I don't know, he'd be at our meetings. I'm going, I don't know, how much do I up their rent or whatever? Oh, Kathy, this is kind of what we do. And everybody's been so wonderful, and it's great to have the relationship. If I need some advice or don't know what to do, that I can just pick up the phone and call. I know most of you in here, and that's what's made it work. And I just think it's wonderful. I travel all over the Pacific Northwest coaching. I don't know any other facility that's run like this. But we've been able to do it. We've had to kind of think outside the box. When I had to have some stuff built, some shelving and stuff in the pool, well, I got the Marshfield High construction class. You just have to think and ask around. And when I have a question, what do you think? Or when I need money for this and that. So I get, the reason why I'm here, I got kind of upset on the deck the other day. In fact, I think I swore, but really I'm a nice person. Anyway, we are getting some more to do. I know Doug's concerned about the safety stuff. I'm hoping maybe when we do things downstairs, it'll be when the city guys are there anyway. And then, my other concern is we do have some money saved right now just because of the COVID thing and everybody that's helped us and stuff. But, in normal times, we're a tad bit behind. So I'm a little worried about adding more. But I know how hard the city works, and I just want to be upfront and honest, and so you guys know. I think it's good that you guys know our story. So, okay, that's what I got to say. Does anybody have any questions for me?
So you're satisfied with the agreement, and you met with Jim, and you have come to an agreement that you think is going to work?
Well, yeah, I'm a little nervous. I don't think, in all fairness, that what we're taking over was spelled out very well in the agreement, in my opinion. Even Doug said,
The current agreement?
Yes, the new one. So, I was hearing stuff downstairs from the guys downstairs, but I'm thinking, are they it just seems like somebody would tell me, kind of. And I met with Jim, but I didn't specifically ask him that question, in all fairness, So.
Roger, is there more detail that you think needs to be in that contract, or do you think it suffices based on, in my experience, sometimes contracts are a bit more vague and don't spell out every single item?
Well, we certainly could revisit the contract, table it tonight, revisit the contract, see if there's any additional language that needs to put in there. I can share that it's a living document. It's been amended a couple of times. When I first went on the board, Mingus Park Pool Management actually paid part of the utilities, and we paid part of the utilities. As being a member of the board and knowing the financial constraints, the city took on additional utilities. And then it wasn't through the agreement that staff took on or assumed some of the duties at Mingus Park Pool Management. We just had an employee that thought the staff could do it and just took it on himself. So it morphed over time. We are, as a partnership, taking on more of the utilities, and we're just asking Mingus Park Pool Management to take back the actual management of the pool itself. But that being said, we could certainly revisit the language in the agreement and bring back something that it spells out something a little more detailed that's acceptable to Mingus Park Pool Management and the city.
So, well, first of all, do you think that's necessary, Kathy, or? I guess that's what I'm asking. Are you satisfied I know that you met with Jim, you said, and that you felt that everything was resolved and to your satisfaction, so.
Right, I just didn't see.
Clarified, I should say.
Right, yeah, we didn't talk about any of the, I wasn't reading into the contract, and neither was Doug, because I went over it several times. I was hearing stuff from my guy downstairs, but I thought, I don't see that in here, so I was just kind of, but I didn't, I didn't ask Jim specifically. I guess I just want you guys to know I think we're going above and beyond. You guys all know we were asked to get 1 CPO. We're going to get 4 probably. Doug's all, fired up and stuff. He's a little concerned about safety. I didn't have a chance to meet with Scott today, but I think when we do our part down there, maybe we can just tie that in when the city guys are there anyway. See what I'm saying? So we're not alone.
So the only way to access that is to go down the hill.
Yeah, we have to go down the hill. So we run bare staff anyway. See what I'm saying? So it might involve bringing, somebody a little extra time, and and I feel better that we can call Scott if things go out in the evening. That got clarified, so we're not going to have to do that. But I just think it's good for you guys to know, too. We're so busy and what's going on down there, but it's definitely been a blessing for me, and I just think it's wonderful, and I want to keep the good relationship. And Roger, I just thank you so much for all your, and John, everybody. I just think that's special. It's great to be able to pick up the phone and call you, what do you think, or what should I do? Especially the way we run it. So
it sounds like the part of interest to you would be coordination with staff, so that's helpful. I figure I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to sign the new pool agreement.
Second.
Yeah, and I think, just for comment, I think, as Roger stated, this is a living agreement, and I don't know if we could put everything in that would cover everything. I think it'd be very difficult, and that could have constraints on you and the staff. So I think it's better that, and if you said down with Jim, I think that kind of relationship is the way to go. If it needs to be addressed, I think Nicole would be the city manager, and who sits on the board for the city now?
Captain Mike Schaefer.
Yeah, and so Captain Schaefer could definitely relay the information back too. So I think there's a lot of avenues, and so I think it's all right the way it is. You seem pleased. I mean, I know it's difficult on all. Like Roger said, we have staff that's limited, and you have staff that's limited. We just need to try to make the best of it. And we have increased. We do handle the chlorine also, right?
We do. We handle all the chemicals and the utilities.
So we need to keep moving forward, hopefully, in a positive way. And as long as you're all right with that, I think that'll be fine.
Okay, thanks, you guys.
Any other comments by anyone? Okay.
I just appreciate you coming here, and I did not know that story, so I appreciate the backstory. And
It's a great story.
quite honestly, between your knowledge and Roger's knowledge, there's all this institutional knowledge, so I'm glad that we have, at least in this document, more of the history of what's going on. So thank you for coming and telling that story tonight. I appreciate it.
Any other comment? Any other comments?
Troy, we appointed you to 3 boards. That's it. That's the last comment.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded to authorize the city manager to sign the Mingus Park Pool Management Agreement. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item on the agenda is consideration of approval to amend the city fee schedule. Approval would require adoption of Resolution 23-16. Alyssa.
Good evening. The fee schedule we review each year. We have mortgage that is updated by the MCI rate, and at that time we send it out to staff to see if they have any updates. Planning had updated some of their fees more based on actual, how the fees are actually allocated versus what was in the fee schedule, clarified some language. So there's not really any changes for permit fees, and it's a roughly $3,000 for mortgage income.
Council, comments, questions? Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of them are just very slight increases. And we know that sometimes the cost for doing services go up. Are we analyzing that across the board as far as making sure that these will cover, these incremental increases will cover the cost of what it's doing to provide the services, the staff that?
Yes, we
Council?
are.
Any other comments, questions?
I'll move to approve the changes to the city fee schedule by adoption of Resolution 23-16.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the adoption of Resolution 23-16, which would amend the city fee schedule. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item on the agenda is consideration to award the construction contract and professional services agreement for the Front Street Green Parking Lot project. Jim?
Jennifer.
Jennifer
has that tonight.
Well, it says Jim here.
Jennifer's at the podium.
You changed
Jennifer.
your hair.
All right. Well, okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. So this property along Front Street is located between Cedar and Date Avenue and was originally identified as having contaminated soils during the 2001 Brownfield Development Pilot Project for the Front Street Renewal and Redevelopment efforts. Since that report, there have been a variety of other reports about how to remediate the contaminated soils. And in April of 2020, a consent judgment was issued to the city of Coos Bay by the Coos County Circuit Court. Since that time, the city has been working with the Dyer Partnership on the design of a parking lot, and as well as remediating the soil. The dollars for this effort came from the Department of Environmental Quality's State Revolving Fund Program Sponsorship Option Loan, or an SO loan. The SO loan is associated with the loan for the wastewater treatment plant project and was constructed in 2018. By doing this SO project, it reduces the interest rate for the large loan associated with the Plant 2 project. Because the SO loan dollars, water quality had to be a major component of the design. Once the contaminated soil is removed, the property will be capped with a parking lot. The stormwater that is tributary to the parking lot will be captured via storm drain that will convey the runoff to a Filterra device. This is what they call a post-construction best management practice. I like to call it just a tree and an inlet. And inside the box of the inlet, there's some filter media that cleans the soil prior to discharging to the bay. So because of that, the parking lot will treat 100% of the stormwater prior to discharging to the bay. Design was completed earlier this year and bid in May. No bids were received. The project was then re-advertised in June. Bids were opened on July 13th. One bid was received from Knife River Materials for $2,319,660. The engineer's estimate was 2.4. Staff is recommending awarding the bid to Knife River Materials for $2,667,609, which includes a 15% contingency. Additionally, a requirement of the SO loan is for the engineer of work to oversee and certify the construction. The engineer of work is the Dyer Partnership. The Dyer Partnership has provided a scope and fee for construction management for $99,000. Staff is recommending a 15% contingency. So I'm going to give you a little background, and then if you have any questions about budget, I'm going to ask the finance director to help me out as well. So as most of you know, this SO loan was originally for $2.2 million. Again, it was associated with the Plant 2 construction. So to date, with these SO dollars, we have constructed the 6th Avenue culvert, and we've done design for the both green parking lots at Front Street and at 3rd and Central. If council wants to do both green projects, the loan will need to be increased to $6.2 million, which allows for a $0.3 million contingency. Just as a reminder, if the city doesn't expend the entire amount, the overall loan will be reduced. So there's some background. And I will open it up to any questions.
So just to highlight, we had budgeted 2.2 for both parking lots, correct? But then the bids came in at 6.2, which is fine. And if I understand correctly, these are loans that we have with DEQ. And for these, they will offset the interest rates to cover this cost for these two projects. Am I correct? Okay. So the cost to the city is not more than we would have paid whatever the interest rates. They're adjusting it so we can get this done because it's considered brownfield, correct?
Well, that was what the original 2.2 million was based on. And Melissa, can I turn this over to you?
And we've been talking with Steve Donovan with our rate schedule. We're trying to get in touch to have a meeting with DEQ, but he doesn't anticipate any issues with his forecasted rate schedule, that there'd be any changes, and there wouldn't be any impact to the current user rate schedules.
Okay. And we went out and we bid this project before and received no bids on Front Street. 3rd Street we did.
Correct.
And so we went into 2 phases, that right, and and then Knife River bid both of them.
They did. And the first phase, which is the remediation of the soil, is going to get done this year.
So when it says the estimate for the engineer is 2.4, that doesn't include the 15%.
It doesn't. So when engineers do cost estimates, they always put in a contingency. That's not the construction contingency. That's their cost estimate contingency. It helps with the market that we're in, with just a lot of unknowns that the engineers don't know.
So actually, the engineer's estimate was very close.
It was.
Okay.
I just don't think we have to do this project. There's really no other option in my mind. Quite honestly, we've spent a lot of money on Front Street. We have the blueprint plan. We've told businesses that we were going to have that parking lot, and I think they're expecting it. So while it gives me a lot of heartburn to spend that much on parking lots, it's the only responsible thing to do from my perspective.
I agree, but I think that I want to reiterate that I know the cost is quite a bit more than we anticipated, and there's a lot of reasons for it. COVID came along, which delayed the project and being approved, and this went on for years, and now it's been 6 years plus, right? So the point being, though, is that I think it's important that we make sure that the citizens understand that DEQ is reducing the loan rate to offset the cost on this, correct?
That is correct. So they've reduced the loan rate on the larger loan,
Correct.
which lets the smaller loan not have an impact.
Correct.
So just to clarify, they didn't reduce this loan rate. It's the large loan that has been reduced.
Which allows us to go and do this at no extra cost than we would have paid with the original interest rate.
Yes, at the original 2.2.
Right.
That was, yes.
Gotcha.
So, however, they have come back and said they are willing to modify so that we still can do this project under today's rates. And so that's a pretty significant thing for them to come to the table for.
Okay.
So.
I think the other thing that would be important to share is that there is still a potential of receiving some insurance refunds from the former policies that are out there. We have received some money to date, and we hope that we'll receive some additional funding. But I have to remind you that per our agreement with the insurance attorney and with the former owner, a portion of those funds go back to a point to split up between those two parties. But we could buy down some of the cost if we're successful in getting those fees.
Okay, so that was one of my questions. So we are intending to submit a claim.
We are.
And if we do receive funds for that, we know that the agreement is to split that, but that would go towards, which would then make the loan amount go down.
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that we won't wait for that, though. We will move forward with the project. Is that correct?
You are correct.
Okay.
Well,
But to receive those funds from insurance, we have to finish the project, and then we can submit it. We can't submit it in advance.
Well, actually, the claim has already been submitted, so,
Okay.
and there'll be additional conversations with the insurance attorney
Okay.
moving forward.
All right.
Well, there's really nothing else to do with the lot, and it's important we cap it. When Hillstrom's shipyard was down there, that lot is where they dumped all that healthy lead paint and creosote, so we gotta do something with it.
Yeah, and I would remind the council that you are under consent decree. You do have to do this project.
No, and it's the right thing to do.
In some fashion.
Yeah, otherwise it would just sit there and never get done. And so that's what urban renewal is about, and that's what, it would be a benefit to this project and that Front Street project. What's the time frame?
So this year, they're going to remediate the soil, and then next year, next late spring, early summer, weather dependent, they're going to be doing the parking lot.
Okay, so.
Do we have your
first-
word on that?
So once we get in a contract, they are bound by their contractual obligation for substantial completion, so
But the first phase of cleaning it up will be done.
this year.
And then we can submit to, if there's an insurance cost, and make sure that's taken care of. Because that's what the insurance part was for,
You're
not the
correct.
building of the product. Okay. Okay, any other discussion on this? I think I want to compliment staff. I mean, this has been a long process and a lot of hoops to jump through, and so I appreciate that. Troy?
I did, help me clarify something. I realize I'm new to the game. I see the 2.6 and the 113,000. Help me understand the 6.2. Is there two projects?
Yes.
It is.
You have
Okay, so
Third
we're only
Street.
talking about the Front Street project
Well,
this evening.
And-
there's, later on, there's a one down here for Third Street also, I
Okay.
believe, right?
The former Lockhart.
Yeah, I think where the clarification is you're awarding contracts related to the Front Street project, but in order to understand the financing, staff brought additional information about where the financing is coming from for not only that project, but for the Third and Central parking lot.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, council, how would you like to proceed?
Move that we award the contract for construction of Knife River Materials for $2,667,609, which includes a 15% contingency. Additionally award the professional services agreement for construction management to the Dyer Partnership for $113,850, including a 15% contingency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the construction contract and professional services agreement for the Front Street Green Parking Lot project. All right, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. And I presume you're going to stay up there and give us some information about the professional services agreement for the construction management to the Dyer Partnership for the Third and Central Green Parking Lot project.
That'd be great. Okay, so council awarded the construction for the Third and Central Green Parking Lot project to Knife River on June 6, 2023. So just like Front Street, this project is a sponsorship option project, an SO project. So because of those SO dollars, just like Front Street, there has to be a water quality component. This parking lot will treat everything via pervious pavers. There will be a couple small rain gardens along 3rd Street to capture the sidewalks, but mostly it's pervious pavers. Staff has met with the, so let me back up here just a moment, sorry. Construction is anticipated to begin mid to late July. In fact, they actually mobilized a week early, so they mobilized on Monday, some of you may have noticed. And it's going to continue all the way through December. They will have to come back next year to finish the electrical because of lead times that exceed, I believe it's 60 weeks. But the majority of the project will be done at the end of this year. Staff has met with the contractor, and they will not be performing any heavy construction on Wednesday and to limit the impacts of the farmers market, and they won't have any construction on the Friday, in the PM on the Friday before both festivals, the Blackberry and the Fun Festival. So a requirement, again, just like Front Street, of the SO loan is for the engineer of work to oversee the construction and certify the construction. The engineer of work is also the Dyer Partnership. The Dyer Partnership has received or has provided a scope and fee for construction management for $90,600. Staff's recommending a 15% contingency. And then maybe just to address Councilor Cribben's point, this project has actually done 3 projects. If Council approves this, 6th Avenue Culvert, the Front Street Green Parking Lot Project, and then the 3rd Central Green Parking Project. The original loan was 2.2. We'll need an additional 3.7 to complete the green parking lot projects, and I've allowed for a $0.3 million for a contingency.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if I could add on, that 6th Avenue Culvert project was our match in order to get the funding for the Safe Routes for School grant in Eastside.
Okay, any questions, comments? So basically, this is just to adjust the Dyer Partnership amount, right?
That's correct.
So Council, how would you like to proceed?
I'll move to award the construction management professional services agreement for the 3rd and Central Green Parking Lot project to the Dyer Partnership for $104,190, which includes a 15% contingency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the professional services agreement for the construction management to the Dyer Partnership for the 3rd and Central Green Parking Lot project. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Next item is consideration and approval to award the services during construction contract to Jacobs for the wastewater treatment plant 1 Phase 1 improvement project. And I know you're not Jim, but okay.
So the city advertised for bids for the wastewater treatment plant 1 Phase 1 upgrade located at 680 Ivy Avenue in May. The upgrades consist of construction of a new secondary clarifier, a chlorine contact basin, yard piping, generator upgrades, and an upgrades to electrical system. Bids were opened on June 13th, and the city awarded the contract to McClure & Sons, Inc. for $17,828,644 on June 20th. Jacobs is the engineer for this project and has prepared a scope and fee to provide services during construction for $1,908. The duration of this project is anticipated to be a 2-year duration. Just a quick side note, the project is funded through the DEQ SRF loan. So like the SO projects, the engineer of work also has to oversee the construction and certify the construction.
Jennifer, could you remind us what SRF is?
Yes, thank you. State Revolving Fund.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So some of you may recall this approach to overseeing construction management was also implemented at the Plant 2 project, in which the city had a full-time employee from the engineering division on site to act as the liaison between the contractor and the engineer. And what we call that is a resident project representative. So this approach saves the city money, as hiring the engineer of work to be on site full-time would increase the scope and fee by a minimum factor of 3. Additionally, having staff on site full-time and immersed in the construction gives us a unique knowledge of the new facilities that can roll over to assisting operations after construction. Staff presented a budget to the council on the June 20th council meeting when council approved a resolution to increase the loan amount for this project to $24 million. It should be noted that if the city does not expend the full $24 million, the city is only responsible for costs actually incurred. Attached is a budget that has been adjusted to reflect the actual services during construction amount. The known costs are in italics. So if you have any questions about those, I'd be happy to answer them. Budget implications, this is a loan, $24 million loan from the DEQ State Revolving Fund program.
So this person that we had on Plant 2, we don't have any longer.
We don't, she retired.
So are we going out to hire someone for this position, or we're going to try to do it with in-house? I hope not.
So we are actually currently interviewing for this position, and this person also will have a staff of 2. Used to have a staff of 1, and we increased that for this project and other projects to do in-house in the future.
Okay. And so is the cost of that, our representative and the 2 assistants, in this is this part of the cost here, or is that going to be on top of it?
No, that is separate.
Okay.
What does that bring our engineering department to, employee-wise, the number?
7, including myself.
If I remember correctly, there was quite a bit of cost savings by having this individual in place and oversight, and I definitely agree. I remember doing Plant 1, I don't want to go back how many years ago. We had a project manager similar to this that worked for us. In fact, that was Ralph Dunn, to be truthful. And anyway, so I think it's great to have someone on board to keep an eye on things for our behalf. So,
Is this a full-time position that maintains after the project?
It is. It is. We're going to start doing projects in-house, the pipeline projects in-house, and overseeing those.
Thank you.
council comments, actions?
I move we approve the award of the contract to Jacobs for services during construction for Plant 1 Phase 1 Improvement Plan Project for $1,050,953, which includes a contingency.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to award the services during construction contract to Jacobs for the wastewater treatment plant Phase 1 improvement project. It's moved and seconded. The project representative, that's not, we don't need to approve that. That's just an in-house and manager's decision.
Correct.
Am I correct? Okay.
And I believe that's already within our budget.
Perfect. All right. Are there any comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Consideration to approve amendment number 1 of the city manager agreement. Roger.
Yes, thank you. A little over 2 years ago, I shared with the council that I intended to retire in mid-2024. At the same time, I also shared that we had identified a potential candidate to take my place in 2024. With the blessing of the council, we began succession planning, and Nicole Rutherford was promoted to assistant city manager and was immersed into the management of the city. She has spent the last 2 years not only training, but being an active member of our management team. Recently, I shared with you that while I had intended to retire in 2024, that I had accepted an opportunity to leave a little bit early and work at the Coos County Airport District as their executive director. In May of this year, the council had already approved a management agreement with Nicole Rutherford, which had a date to begin in July of 2024. Since my departure is fast approaching, and as I have been splitting my time between this job and the airport, it's my suggestion that you amend her contract with a start date of July 1st, 2023.
Well, first of all, I think it should be done. Second of all, I'm glad that you had a succession plan that you've been working on. I give you kudos on that, and I think the right choice was made with Nicole. And so I'm glad to see her on board and was already stepped into the role. And so anyway, I think it's the right thing to do, and I understand you'll be a phone call away for any of us, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Council comments?
There are so many, but I'm going to refrain from saying anything other than I'm very confident that Nicole is going to do an excellent job in this role. And Roger, you will be sorely missed, as you well know. But I also know that you are a phone call away, so I'm sure we will all reach out to you as needed.
Any other comments, anyone?
I move to approve amendment number 2 to the city manager agreement, changing the effective date of the agreement from July 1, 2024 to July 1, 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the amendment number 1 of the city manager agreement. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. City manager's report. Who's doing it?
The new city manager.
Okay.
So I've been told that I get to do it this time around. First of all, I guess I would say thank you for, walking this forward quicker than we planned. I'm excited, a little terrified, but I think we've got this. I've had the opportunity over the last week to talk to the department heads and kind of mesh that team a little bit, and it's been a great experience so far. A lot of balls in the air, but we're getting them taken care of. So. What you have before you, I think we've already sent an email out, but just as a quick reminder, the League of Oregon Cities annual conference is coming up. Several of you have already indicated you had interest in attending. I've given you all the agenda for that, but hopefully enticing some others who we haven't heard from. If you have interest, either let Christine or myself know and we'll get you registered. I was going to share an opportunity. We talk about a lot wanting to collaborate within the community and create partnerships, and we have an opportunity here to step forward with a letter of support for the North Bend Coos Curry Housing Authority.
Correct.
They've been sitting on a pending project at the Bangor School with company that we've been working with here for projects, the Northwest Housing Alternatives, and they were waiting a funding decision from the state that came back. Unfortunately, they were not selected for funding, but they have an opportunity to submit an appeal, and so they've reached out and asked for both cities to provide a letter of support and the impact that this project would have for our community. I think it's a great opportunity for us to partner with this new partner, the Housing Authority, coming to us. So we have a draft. It's something that each city manager could sign. Also, if the mayor had desire to do so, we can do that as well. But I just wanted to bring that to you, just as information, I guess, unless you did not believe we should support that effort. I think it's kind of a quick turnaround. I think they have a meeting maybe this next week. But
That project was for low-income housing. It was specifically designed.
Yeah, and they've partnered also, I believe Coos Health and Wellness had some dollars they were going to put forward to kind of help make a connection with some of the clients that they work with. So there'd be specific spaces there at that facility to kind of have some supportive housing options as well. So it's really an important project for our community. I think we've already stated it's a couple decades ago since we've had a new complex built in this area. It will be impactful. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to step forward.
Nicole, would you just provide us a copy of the letter after it's been signed so we just can see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Absolutely.
So I think it's definitely something that we should do. Is anyone opposed to signing the letter? I think it's a great project, and it's like partnering, and I think it's wonderful, and hopefully the appeal will be successful in this project and move forward in this fashion quickly.
And my understanding as well, he's reached out to both cities, but also the tribal governments are also giving a letter as well, and Coos Health and Wellness also provide a letter. So I think there's a lot of community support around this project. I was going to talk about the mobilization, but Jennifer talked about that already. But so we've got that parking lot, right there on the verge, and then also the charging stations. You guys probably have seen those are being worked on as well.
Not a secret. No
Well,
secret anymore, is it?
Not a secret,
If you
but we
drive
still
by
have
there,
a
you'd see the- you'd
signature
see
on
the
a
signage.
document that says we shouldn't disclose,
All
but
right.
they're making the choice for us.
I'm
They've
glad
put
it's
it out
moving
there.
forward. It's great.
Yes, yes. And then the last thing, I think we'll have some more information to follow up, perhaps in a Friday update, but just a quick, short advance notice that our Plant 2 has been operating under permit for 2 years, the first time at that facility, and I think the first time ever for Plant 2, because it previously had been operating under, and I'm going to not remember the name, but an MAO, I can't remember what it stands for, but it never had been operating under permit. So it's a huge thing. The staff has done an amazing job with that new facility and getting in line, so.
Yeah, I think the staff has done great with Plant 2 plus Plant 1 and all the other systems that we have involved with that. So it's been great. So congratulations and thank you, staff.
And that's all I was going to share.
All right. Council comments, Drew.
I think we got one more official meeting before Roger's end date, but with the thing in here, I wanted to just say how much I've learned watching Roger while we've served on the council, and in the positions where I've been a director, I tell people all the best ideas I have are ones I stole from Roger. That's all I got.
All right, Lucinda.
I'll have a speech for the final meeting, so I have no comments tonight.
Stephanie.
Don't really have too much other than to just remind everybody that Farmers Market is in full swing on Central in downtown Coos Bay. And also the festivals are fast approaching. Blackberry Arts Festival is on the horizon. So they are in the process of seeking vendors for that. If people have handcrafted arts or handcrafted items, contact the Coos Bay Downtown Association, and the application is available on their website. Also, I just wanted to ask about the property on Ocean Boulevard next to Graham, the Bobcat. Do we have any idea if that is going to be developed as he had proposed?
I saw they have a new structure there as well.
I did see that when I drove by. No, we need to reach out to him and ask him on his timeline when he plans to upgrade the facade of that, the metal building there, and develop the parking lot.
Okay.
Was there any agreement on, when we sold that, I don't remember, Nate, maybe you do, was there any agreement on that? So I guess my question would be, and I think that do they have a business license? And to get a business license, I would think there are certain qualifications or ramifications that you have to meet, and I would be hard pressed to believe that's been done.
I'll double check, but I do know the development of the property will require them to pave the lot. They can't use the lot for a long period of time without paving it.
Correct. And so that would be tied to the business license, because we're talking about a different business than the car lot. We're talking about a total different, separate business that would require a business license with some obligations, I'm sure.
We'll follow up.
Thanks.
Okay, and then just one other thing. I don't get an opportunity to come down Ocean Boulevard a lot or pay attention. So I guess I do, but I'm not looking. Do we know if the striping near that intersection at Newmark is on the horizon? Because it's pretty much non-existent in that area. And it's really bad when it rains or the ground gets wet. At night, you can't see where the lanes are because they ground up the lines to make the road.
Right, we're in our striping season now, so I'll check on that one, because it needs to be taken care of.
I was just hoping we could do it before it starts to rain. The year is going by fast. That's all I had.
Sure.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot, but we have the Art Museum Executive Director here who is new, and just want to welcome her in the community, and thanks for joining the meeting tonight, and thanks for bringing your husband to join the library board, and welcome to Coos Bay.